What if I told you that the key to a happier, more peaceful life lies in just 4 simple agreements? Imagine a world where you're no longer weighed down by others' opinions, where your words become a powerful force for good, and where misunderstandings and regrets are a thing of the past. Sounds impossible, right? But it's not. In his timeless book, The 4 Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz offers us a guide for life-changing principles that have the power to completely transform the way you see yourself and the world around you. In this video, we're diving into these 4 agreements. They may be simple, but don't be fooled, these principles carry the potential to reshape your life. So sit back, open your mind, and get ready to discover the wisdom of the 4 agreements. It's time to unlock the door to personal freedom and find the peace and happiness you deserve. Part 1. Be impeccable with your word. Words. We often underestimate their power, don't we? But in reality, words have the ability to shape our world. They can create beauty, foster love, or tear someone apart in a single sentence. In the 4 agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz begins with the first and perhaps most important principle: be impeccable with your word. Being impeccable with your word means speaking with integrity, being mindful of the words you use, and understanding that what you say carries incredible weight. Think of your words like seeds. They can plant positivity and truth or spread doubt, anger, and negativity. Ruiz tells us that when we speak with honesty and kindness, we align our actions with our higher selves. We speak not from fear or resentment, but from a place of truth and love. This agreement isn't just about avoiding gossip or lies. It's about using your words to uplift, empower, and build a world around you filled with more light and less darkness. But here's the catch. It's not only about how we speak to others, it's also about how we speak to ourselves. How often do we let our inner dialogue tear us down? We criticize ourselves, doubt ourselves, tell ourselves that we're not good enough. These internal words are just as powerful, and they can hold us back from becoming the person we're meant to be. So, being impeccable with your word means holding yourself to a higher standard, one where you choose your words wisely, both with others and with yourself. You use them as tools for growth, for healing, for creating something beautiful in the world around you. Think about it. What if you could speak only with truth and love, free from the poison of negativity and judgment? How much lighter would you feel? How much kinder would your world become? That's the magic of this first agreement. It's a reminder that words are not just fleeting sounds, they are energy that can create or destroy. And when you commit to being impeccable with your word, you take the first step toward living a more authentic and powerful life. Part 2. Don't take anything personally. Imagine walking through life with a shield that could protect you from all the negativity, judgment, and harsh words that others throw your way. This is the gift of the second agreement in Don Miguel Ruiz's The 4 Agreements. Don't take anything personally. Now, what does it really mean to not take things personally? Ruiz explains that when someone says something hurtful, rude, or critical, we often react emotionally, thinking their words are a direct attack on us. But the truth is, what others say and do is a reflection of their own reality, their own beliefs, and their own emotional world. It's not about you. When you internalize someone else's negativity, you're allowing their personal issues to poison your peace of mind. Consider this. Every person sees the world through their own lens, shaped by their experiences, upbringing, and emotions. Their words and actions are projections of their internal state, not a true reflection of who you are. When someone criticizes or judges you, they are often dealing with their own insecurities, fears, or frustrations. Ruiz tells us that by not taking things personally, we shield ourselves from needless suffering and drama. But it's easier said than done, right? Our natural reaction is to take offense, to feel hurt, or to lash out in defense. That's because we often tie our self-worth to the opinions of others. When we let someone's negative words penetrate our hearts, we're giving them power over us. Ruiz teaches us that when we stop taking things personally, we reclaim our power. We realize that their opinion does not define our value. It's simply a reflection of what's going on in their world. This agreement applies not only to the negative comments people make, but also to their positive feedback. Ruiz reminds us that even when others praise us, we must remember that their approval is based on their personal perspective. While it's great to be recognized and valued, our sense of worth should not depend on external validation. When we understand this, we free ourselves from the roller coaster of seeking approval and fearing rejection. One of the most profound lessons in this agreement is that by not taking things personally, you become immune to the emotional chaos of others. Imagine being in a situation where someone criticizes or belittles you. Instead of absorbing their negativity and letting it affect your mood, you can choose to let their words pass through you. You remain grounded in your own truth, unaffected by the emotional storms around you. Ruiz illustrates this beautifully. He says that when you take things personally, you assume that everything is about you. But in reality, people's words and actions are about them, not you. They are acting from their own perception of reality. For example, if someone lashes out at you, it's often because they're experiencing their own inner conflict, and you just happen to be in their path. Understanding this helps us respond with more compassion and less reactivity. However, this agreement isn't about becoming cold or indifferent. It's about developing a deep inner strength, one that allows you to stay connected to your own worth, regardless of what others say or do. It's about knowing who you are, trusting yourself, and refusing to let others' judgments, opinions, or moods dictate your emotions. Think of how liberating it would be to move through life with this mindset. No more being controlled by the ups and downs of other people's emotions. No more feeling hurt because of someone else's bad day. No more carrying the weight of others' judgments on your shoulders. When you practice not taking anything personally, you create a shield of emotional resilience. This doesn't mean that you'll never feel hurt or upset, but it does mean that you'll have the power to step back and see things for what they are, projections of someone else's world, not yours. Ruiz also teaches that this agreement applies to the relationship you have with yourself. Often, we take our own inner dialogue personally, accepting negative thoughts as truth. We might criticize ourselves, thinking we're not good enough or strong enough. But by practicing this agreement with ourselves, we learn to challenge those thoughts, realizing that they are not a reflection of who we truly are. Instead, they're just passing clouds in the mind sky, not something to take personally. By not taking things personally, you build a stronger connection to your inner self, a connection that is no longer easily shaken by the words or actions of others. You become grounded in your own truth, your own reality, and that is where true freedom lies. Part 3. Don't make assumptions. We live in a world full of uncertainty, and our minds naturally seek clarity. When we don't have the answers, we often fill in the gaps ourselves. But instead of asking questions, we often rely on our assumptions, leading to misunderstandings, unnecessary conflict, and personal suffering. In the 4 agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz introduces the 3rd agreement. Don't make assumptions. At first glance, this might seem simple, don't assume. But let's look closer at how deeply this agreement impacts our lives. Ruiz explains that when we make assumptions, we are acting on beliefs or interpretations that may not be true. These assumptions create a distorted version of reality, often leading to conflict, resentment, or confusion. Think about how many times you've assumed someone's intentions or thoughts, only to find out later that you were completely wrong. The mind tries to fill in the blanks with guesses, but these guesses are often based on our own fears, insecurities, and past experiences. Ruiz teaches us that assumptions have a way of spiraling out of control. Imagine this. You send a message to a friend, but they don't reply. Instantly, your mind begins to weave a story. Maybe they're upset with me. What did I do wrong? Are they avoiding me? All of these thoughts may feel real, but they are built on nothing but assumptions. Without clarity, we let these stories shape our feelings and reactions. Instead of peace, we create anxiety. Instead of connection, we create distance. This isn't limited to our personal relationships. It happens in every aspect of life. We assume we know what others think of us, what their motives are, or how situations will play out. These assumptions lead to misunderstandings and conflict. Instead of communicating clearly, we create stories in our minds that often have little basis in reality. And as these assumptions grow, so does the tension. We act based on fiction, not fact, and this prevents us from truly understanding each other. Ruiz emphasizes that assumptions are dangerous because they lead to false conclusions. When we believe our assumptions are the truth, we stop asking questions and we stop seeking clarity. We believe our assumptions are the reality, and we act on them as though they are real. This leads to unnecessary arguments, disappointments, and feelings of betrayal, not because of what actually happened, but because of the stories we created in our own minds. The key to avoiding assumptions, according to Ruiz, is simple but profound. Ask questions. If something is unclear, if you feel uncertain, or if you find yourself jumping to conclusions, pause and seek clarity. Ask rather than assume. Ruiz reminds us that we should communicate openly, honestly, and directly with those around us. Instead of making assumptions about someone's behavior or thoughts, have a conversation. Ask questions to gain understanding. But asking questions requires courage. It means stepping out of the comfort of your assumptions and risking vulnerability. It means being willing to hear answers that may not align with the stories you've told yourself. But this courage is what leads to real connection, real understanding, and real peace. When we stop assuming and start asking, we open the door to deeper, more meaningful relationships, both with ourselves and with others. This agreement also extends inward toward the assumptions we make about ourselves. We assume we know our limitations, our strengths, and our weaknesses, often based on past experiences or the opinions of others. But what if these assumptions are wrong? What if the stories you've been telling yourself about who you are have been limiting your potential? Ruiz challenges us to stop assuming what we're capable of and to start questioning those internal narratives. Only by questioning can we begin to uncover the truth about who we really are and what we're truly capable of achieving. Imagine a life where you no longer assume the worst, where misunderstandings don't fester into conflict, and where you give others the space to explain their thoughts and actions. This is the power of the third agreement. By refusing to make assumptions, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering and build stronger, more authentic connections with others. Ruiz encourages us to practice clear and courageous communication. When something is unclear, we ask questions. When we feel misunderstood, we clarify our intentions. When we start to build a story in our minds, we pause and seek the truth. It may seem simple, but this practice can change the way we interact with the world around us. Don't make assumptions. Instead, seek the truth. This is how you cultivate peace, understanding, and harmony in your relationships and within yourself. Part 4. Always do your best. Life is full of expectations, both those we set for ourselves and those we feel imposed on us by the world around us. But in Don Miguel Ruiz's The Four Agreements, the fourth and final agreement, always do your best, shifts the focus away from perfection and places it squarely on effort. This agreement asks us to commit to doing our best, whatever that may be, without judgment, comparison, or the need for constant validation. But what does it really mean to always do your best? Ruiz tells us that our best is not a fixed standard. It changes from moment to moment. Your best today might not look like your best yesterday, and it certainly won't be the same tomorrow. Some days you'll feel strong, capable, and energized, and your best will reflect that. Other days you'll feel tired, stressed, or emotionally drained, and your best will be different. The point is, doing your best isn't about being perfect. It's about giving the best effort you're capable of, given the circumstances, and knowing that effort is enough. This agreement encourages us to let go of the crippling pressure of perfectionism. Ruiz explains that when we attach our self-worth to unrealistic standards, we create endless frustration and disappointment. We become our own harshest critics, constantly feeling like we're falling short. But when we shift our mindset to doing our best, we recognize that we can't always control the outcome. What we can control is the effort we put in. Ruiz reminds us that when we do our best, we live without regret. Think about it. How many times have you looked back at a situation, regretting that you didn't give it your all, or wishing you'd tried harder? By committing to always doing your best, you eliminate those feelings of regret and self-judgment because you know that, no matter the outcome, you gave everything you had in that moment. However, this agreement also challenges us to examine what doing our best really means in our lives. It's not about overexertion or pushing ourselves to the brink of exhaustion. Instead, it's about being present, engaged, and intentional with our actions. Doing your best doesn't mean doing the most. It means doing what's within your capacity with your full attention and heart. Let's look at an example. If you're working on a project and you do your best, it doesn't mean that the outcome will be perfect or that everyone will praise your work. But when you put your full effort into it, you'll know that you've done what you could. There's no room for self-criticism, no space for regret. Your best is your best, and that's all that's required. This agreement also emphasizes that when you do your best, you avoid self-judgment and self-punishment. Often, we're harder on ourselves than anyone else could ever be. We criticize ourselves for not being good enough, smart enough, fast enough, or strong enough. But when you live by this agreement, you free yourself from the cycle of negativity. You know that as long as you've done your best, there's no need for punishment or harsh judgment. What more could you ask of yourself? Ruiz also points out that doing your best over time leads to mastery. The more you commit to doing your best, the more you improve in whatever you're pursuing. This applies to every area of your life, whether it's your relationships, your work, your health, or your personal goals. The more you practice this agreement, the more you grow, and eventually, doing your best becomes second nature. But remember, doing your best is also about balance. It means respecting your own limits and knowing when to rest, when to say no, and when to step back. It's not about perfection, nor is it about constantly grinding yourself down in the pursuit of goals. Doing your best means taking care of yourself so that when the time comes to act, you have the energy and focus to give your best effort. This agreement also teaches us to stay present in whatever we're doing. Ruiz reminds us that when we live in the past, dwelling on what we could have done differently, or when we're overly focused on the future, worrying about what's to come, we lose sight of the present moment. By committing to always doing your best in the here and now, you ground yourself in the present and give your full attention to whatever task is at hand. Ultimately, Ruiz encourages us to adopt this mindset not just as a temporary rule, but but as a way of life. When you approach each day with the intention of doing your best, whether it's in your relationships, your work, or simply taking care of yourself, you create a life of fulfillment, peace, and integrity. You free yourself from the chains of guilt, self-criticism, and the constant pursuit of perfection. So remember, always do your best. Not more than your best, not less than your best, just your best, whatever that looks like today. And know that when you do, you are living in alignment with your highest self. You are creating a life free of regret, full of growth, and grounded in authenticity. That is the power of the fourth agreement. And there you have it, the 4 simple yet powerful agreements that can transform your life. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions. And always do your best. These agreements may seem straightforward, but their impact is profound. By practicing them every day, you begin to create a life filled with peace, self-awareness, and personal freedom. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. Little by little, as you embrace these agreements, you'll notice the positive shift in your mindset, your relationships, and your overall well-being. Remember, this journey is yours. Take these lessons with you, practice them with patience, and watch as they unlock a deeper sense of fulfillment and empowerment within you. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the 4 agreements. I hope this video has inspired you to live with more intention, integrity, and freedom. If you found this helpful, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so we can continue exploring new paths of personal growth together. Until next time, take care of yourself, keep growing, and remember, you hold the power to create a life that aligns with your true self. See you in the next book video.